I am so excited to welcome Maura Sedgwick today. She's dialing from Baltimore, and we're going to talk about design and character in both your short term rentals and midterm rental spaces. Because at the end of the day, we need to stop the scroll because that is how we advertise our properties. And one of the tips that she's giving us today is all about color drenching and her style and maximalism so that we can get those people to stop the scroll, separate us from the competition, and make us really, really interesting properties to stay in. We'll also talk about quality and kitchen design, as well as amenities that make it matter for your guests. But I think you're going to want to keep listening because she talks about how it's so important to bring in some really good quality products. So we're going to talk about what kind of rugs to select and even some kind of furniture and where to source that stuff. So listen in, and we can't wait to have you join us on future episodes. What if you could stop chasing weekend guests and start earning consistent income 1 month at a time? I'm Vivian Yip, host, investor, and founder of crewhomes.com and the Hestia certification. And I believe there's a better way to build wealth through real estate. Welcome to the Midterm Rental Movement Podcast, where I sit down with real hosts from all walks of life who are building wealth with furnished rentals without burning out. You'll hear how they got started, where they invest, and how they've built their Airbnb business to being stress-free, sustainable, and scalable. Whether you're a short-term host tired of cleaning every weekend or a busy professional looking for a smarter income stream, this podcast is your blueprint. Ready to join the movement? Subscribe now. And if you've got a fully furnished home, list it for free at crewhomes.com. That's cruhomes.com, because real freedom starts with real income 1 month at a time. This is why the pros don't rely on Airbnb alone. If you're still only using Airbnb or VRBO without any software connected, you are putting your entire business at risk, especially if you're hosting extended stays, because at that point, you're not just offering vacation rentals anymore. You could be creating tenancy issues without even knowing it. And if you're not collecting signatures on your innkeeper agreement, you are wide open. That's why I use API connected software like Journey. It automates everything from messaging and calendar sync to the check-in process, deposits, and yes, even getting that innkeeper agreement signed automatically before every guest arrives. My cleaners get scheduled without me lifting a finger. Guests check in, pay, sign, and get support, all without me being glued to my phone. Use my link below to get your free demo appointment with Journey. And if you use my link, you'll get access to a special insider program with no onboarding fees, no property listing minimums, just simple automation that protects your business and saves your sanity. Go pro, go automated. Click the link and schedule your demo now. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm excited to introduce Maura Sedgwick. She is the founder of A Chalet Collective, a nationwide boutique hospitality firm specializing in designing and hosting short-term and midterm rentals. Welcome, Maura. Will you please introduce more of yourself?
Hi, thank you so much, Vivian. I'm so happy to be here. And you got my name correct. I am Maura Sedgwick, and I am the founder of A Chalet Collective. And just as you said, we design and host short-term rentals and midterm rentals around the country, sometimes setting up in other countries. But we are Baltimore-based, and we can be found traveling throughout the country in Latin America, working on different designs and hospitality concepts.
I am already inspired by your style. I'm digging the cranes and the chinoiserie in the background. What keeps you inspired? Like how do you follow the trends that are constantly changing?
For me, I am big on trusting my gut and my intuition. So a lot of times it's the feeling I get when I look at something, whether it's a color or a color combination or a pattern. And I just know that that's for me. It tends to be something that's more maximalist, as you can see from the pattern behind me. But I think it's just loud plops of joy, loud shouts of joy with different colors and different patterns. I can be found scrolling Pinterest just as much as Instagram, which I think is helpful for design inspo. And I do a lot of traveling. And in my travels, I'm taking notes from the hotels that I'm staying in and the short term rentals I'm looking at. I think there's so much inspiration to be taken from hotels. So I think that informs a lot of my choices and decision making. Because even if you are a midterm rental owner and hospitality provider, you are still up against what hotels are working with. So they obviously have those larger budgets for marketing and for design. But I think where we come into play is taking that hotel mindset and plugging it into something that's more boutique and bespoke for individualized properties.
You make a huge point there because obviously with crew homes we get an influx of listings every single day. So some of my free time I'll go and scroll through the listings and see what kind of design points they have in there. And I see people that are more modern. I have people that are more homey, and then I have the people
Yeah.
that are super homey. And I wonder how well they do as midterm rentals and short-term rentals because I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like the days of the homey Airbnb style might be over. And people are moving more towards those boutique hotel, very modern, minimalistic, like Spring Hill Suites, for instance, is that clean architecture, clean lines. Is that what you're seeing as a professional?
Yeah, I think it's such a good point because I think that that is the easy point of entry. Like people think that they can fit into this mold. And there was even a Saturday Night Live skit about making an Airbnb and designing it. So they all kind of look like themselves and each other. So for me, what I'm looking for is what's bespoke. What am I going to remember? Because I see so many different hotels, sometimes two in a week. It needs to stand out in my mind so I can at least remember it and remember the experience. So that's what I like to think about is like what is happening in these homes and in these properties that is memorable. So for me, it isn't minimalist. For me, I am a maximalist, as we said from the beginning, but I'm looking for things that I'm just like, wow, I want to take these textures. I want to take this combination. And something that comes to mind is a hotel in Baltimore, and I don't know why it's leaving my brain, but I'll come back to it. It's a very funky hotel line that has a lot of amazing, interesting design patterns and convergence of different types of styles. So, for example, they have a leopard print rug with like a highly varnished baby blue boudoir, like a place to put your clothes, and a vanity that's just like totally different from all of those. And then the nightstands are made of like cranes standing on a leg. So just that mix and like the bed is surrounded in curtains that make you feel like you're in medieval times. So all of those things coming together can totally make sense. And for me, that's what I'm looking for.
So I will say that some will argue that that is super necessary in short-term rentals, but you
Sure.
host midterm rentals. Have you seen
Yeah.
that maximalism design make an impact in how people book your property?
Yeah, so that's where we stand out is this mix of understanding what amenities and pops are needed for short-term rentals. Right now, I am sitting in a short-term rental, and this pop of color in the wallpaper behind me was totally for that stop the scroll intentionality when people are looking on the different platforms. And when it comes to our midterm rentals, we are looking for things that feel like home. And my home, your home, but what are those unique things? And for us, it is an element of fun design. So maybe it's not all those crazy patterns coming together, but it's definitely something where you are so interested in how the curtains meet a wall hanging, meet the carpet. So you are looking at this combination that's maybe not so in your face, super bold, but there's a refined elegance to it that makes you feel like you're in a curated home that someone thoughtfully put together for you to feel instantly comfortable in, but also wow you when you come in. And we're lucky sometimes when we hear a guest's reaction. We had a guest who was a nurse, checking in, and she came with her mom to help her move in all her stuff. And we were able to overhear her reaction. And she looked in, she opened the door, and she went, and then she stepped out and said, Mother, Mother, wait till you see this. And that's what we want. And it's really just one of our homes where I feel most comfortable. And we select properties that have that uniqueness to them and kind of have a vibe in and of themselves. But we can also take something like this property that I'm in now and something that was more of a flip and make it into something cool and interesting. But for our midterm rental properties, we still want a place where people are excited to come home to and want to be there. And I think that's what I find in my travels. I'm someone who travels all the time, but I'm also a homebody. Like when I'm there, I'm in the room, mostly because I have a lot of things to do and work on, but I want to be inspired by the space that I'm in. So that's what we're looking to bring together. And it's not all of those crazy components that I talked about, but it is something that wows you and something that brings you excitement.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And there has to be that balance of practicality as well, because that single chair that's shaped like a high heel covered in velvet, that's not practical. While it looks really cool in a short-term rental, you might want to find something a little bit more refined, a little bit more sturdy
Right.
for midterm rentals, because at the end of the day, midterm rentals we want comfort, but we have to balance and make sure that there is that stop that scroll moment. I do that in my properties. And I don't have anything, my properties are not elaborate at all, but one of my homes, I call it the yellow house. I painted the fireplace this like bright aqua blue color because I figured at the end of the day, I can just paint it another color when I
A
sell.
100%.
But
Paint is the
because
best.
yeah, but because that color is so bright and so loud in your face that it stops the scroll, and I do that with wallpaper in a few rooms here and there, and it's not very expensive, but it does help with the photos. People are like, "Why is my property not getting booked?" Well, at the end of the day, to
It's
me, it's like
boring.
online shopping. I mean, not online shopping, like
Yes,
online dating, right?
both.
You could just keep scrolling until that one
Yeah.
really interesting thing pops out, like the dude that's holding the fish that he caught. Like that's you stop the scroll. It's like that's something interesting, right? So it's the same thing with looking at the endless possibilities out there is curating a design that stops it.
Yes,
So
exactly.
what's in?
What's in? What a great question. Also, going back to that hotel that I could not remember, it's called Hotel Ulysses in Baltimore, and they have a wonderful group of hotels throughout the country that's super fun. But I would say maximalism is in and it's having its time. And I think bespoke details are in and having their time. I know things that are out are I mean, this is what the designers are saying, but that wall, that focal wall that just highlights one design is out. So wallpapering everything is in. Drenching everything. Color drenching is
Oh,
huge
I
right
love
now.
color drenching.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the best ways to modernize your home in a way that elevates everything. And it's funny because now when I'm in a property, even one of mine, and I look at the ceiling and I'm like, why didn't I color drench that room just like I did the dining room? Anyway, so some regrets from time to time, but again, it's just a coat of paint that you can slap on the ceiling. But really, color drenching makes you feel refined and elegant. And it's the same for that wallpaper. Like if you're taking any room and just really bringing full detail to it instead of just one wall, that's what is trending forward right now.
Hmm. Okay. It's so funny because these trends just keep cycling back. My husband and I, we flipped homes before, and we still flip homes now, but there was one 1980s house. It had a salmon colored wall, but it was color drenched. And I was like, this is
Mm,
supposed to be in, but I think it's the wrong color.
so funny. Yeah. I mean, I love a good salmon. I do think that some 80s designs are coming back, just like in fashion, 90s is here,
Oh, I
but there's
love
so
neon.
many. I know. I love neon and like just thinking about vintage IKEA, they're not talking about 60s or 70s, they're talking about like 80s IKEA and those sort of like fun poppy plastics. And you're seeing it now in a lot of design that was probably inspired from Japanese design, but like square white plain tiles with like fun pops of color in the grout. Like one of my favorite ways to plus up any room, a bathroom or a kitchen, is to have that colored grout on like very basic white tiles.
Yeah.
So I think that is in, and we're seeing trends come back from the 80s, which I think is so funny because if you think about an 80s kitchen, it might not be what your heart desires at this time, but with a few different tweaks, it can really work.
What kind of 80s things in the kitchen are you talking about?
Mostly tiles. Like what has killed me seeing coming back into trend is the tile covered countertops. And yeah,
No. If you've got a rental, whether it's short term, midterm, or long term, you need a solid insurance policy that's actually made for landlords. I use Steadily because it's fast, digital, and built for real estate investors just like us. No long phone calls, no back and forth, just a clean, modern way to get coverage. You can get a quote in under 2 minutes with Steadily.com. Again, that's Steadily.com, modern insurance for modern hosts. Check out the link below to get your quote today.
yes, I'm not lying. And it's funny because every time I watch Home Alone, the world's biggest Home Alone fan right here, but every time I watch it, I see their kitchen with the tiled top. And that's like from the early 90s, that movie. So I feel like that look has been making its way back in, and there's so many like DIY tutorials on how to make like little side tables that are tiled.
My opinion is I love Taj Mahal countertops, and that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. No tile countertops for me.
Stick to it. Yeah, I think it's hard with the grout. That's what would bother me. So I think I'm a flat top type of girl, but seeing it come back heavy and hard.
Wow. Well, it's weird because these trends do cycle. I used to work for faucet companies, right? And
Mm,
when they introduced gold faucets back in 2012, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Because I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s
yeah.
that harsh brass. But what
Yeah.
came back was a soft champagne gold. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, this is so beautiful. So
So nice.
hopefully it's a nice reincarnation into a new style that's of the similar inspiration with the tile.
Yeah, we're not talking the hunter green tiles used in Home Alone. We're talking about something a little bit more fun and poppy, so it has less weight.
Yeah. So talk to me, like, where do you find, like, do you have a place that you go to source these things? Where do you recommend? Like, we have a lot of people that want to turn their long-term rentals into midterm
Yeah.
rentals. Where do you source your furniture? Where is a good place to go look for designs? Do you have specific accounts that you follow on Pinterest or even your own
Yeah.
Pinterest account?
Yes, I was going to say, first and foremost, I always recommend working with a designer who has this expertise. And it's really about helping the investor come together and bring a vision to life. Like I say this all the time. I used to have someone who was spoke 8 languages and played the piano, but couldn't cook. And I went to culinary school as part of my life, so I can cook. But I can't speak 8 other languages. Like maybe I have one other one, and I certainly can't play the piano. And I just tried to explain to her all the time, like, don't feel bad that I can cook. Your thing is this, let someone else do the thing that you can't do. So I don't think you have to try super hard when it comes to design. I do think you can find a partner who can execute with you and bring all these different sources. For us, we source from a lot of different places. We work with Minoan and source there to get a lot of discounts on new things. And for the majority of our curation, we are looking at vintage rugs. We have vendors in different markets that have unique rug pieces. I'm someone who I only buy wool rugs by a standard in a Chalet Collective and Mocha Interiors, which is my design business. Um, we only buy wool rugs because polypropylene is carcinogenic and we want our houses to be as clean as possible, but also to have some more authenticity and just give something different that you can't find when you're scrolling through Wayfair. So with the caveat that I do love an IKEA wool rug, I will say that. But it's the mix. Like, so it really is looking at what you're bringing together. So we do a lot of estate sales. We have a warehouse where we collect and store things and itemize them. And we know when we're putting a property together, we know right away, like, oh, that vintage Eames chair is going to go in this property, or oh, that vintage schoolhouse table is going to go here. That vintage sewing table will be great in this property. So it is a mix of looking for new pieces and gently used pieces that have a lot of character.
Hmm. Yeah, I think gently used pieces with a lot of character and also really good quality is
Yes.
so much better than picking up something off of Amazon that won't last more than a month or two.
Exactly. And Amazon does have its time and place. But for us, we do value pieces that are older, that have a bit more integrity and patina, and can also withstand guests coming in because we don't really know how they're going to operate in our space. But I do know that this vintage rug from 1960s has held up since then, and it's going to hold up even longer. So that's a lot of what we think about too. Like we see a lot of people throwing out rugs because they've purchased those, cheaper ones that are not as with synthetic materials, and they just don't last as long. They also smell a little funky. They also hold on to scents. And that's what we're dealing with too. Like we make sure we're shampooing our rugs in between guests so that every time a guest is coming into the house, it feels like a new house and like they are there for the first time.
Mhm. So you're saying those shampoo wool rugs, they are able to shampoo over and over again? Because I use ruggables or washable rugs, but not the wool stuff because I'm always afraid of people destroying my nice stuff. So
Well, my theory is we get ones that are colored. We never buy light colored rugs.
yeah.
We always get darkly colored ones that have an interesting pattern. We work with people that understand how to clean wool rugs, and they're out there. So that's our, philosophy and one of the standards in our business. So it's worked for us.
Awesome. Well, so what other standards do you have in your business like for key products that our listeners can take away from them? So we heard good quality wool rugs will last through the times because they've been around since the 60s. What else can they confidently rely on that can last through multiple turnovers and
Yes.
different kinds of guests?
Yeah, so we have a few key things in the kitchen, and I think that caveat for kitchen things is because my background is heavily in the culinary world. And when I audit one of our properties, whether it's a new property or one that just needs a refresh or a check-in, I want to make sure I can be there for 3 to 5 days and make a full meal. And I want to have access to everything that I need. So that's a standing mixer, a toaster oven. We have like heavy duty pots and pans. And I think that is one of the swords that I will die on is to ask people to stop buying Teflon. It's horrible for you, but also it doesn't last long. Like it scrapes off. And it's a bummer if you're a guest going into a property and they have old icky Teflon that looks like it was really, first year graduate student purchased the set.
Did I
And
did
I
you,
think
did you catch my Instagram on the Tumu pots and pans in one of the properties that we took on for management?
sounds horrible.
1 second. Hold your horses.
Holding.
Okay, so this is why getting good quality stuff for your properties is so important. I'm pretty sure this came from one of those direct from China companies,
Sure, sure.
and they were probably $40 or whatever, but okay. Number one, this pot, the moment so when we take on a new property, we audit the property, but we
Yes.
brand new set of pots and pans, opened the door, walked away. We're like, okay, it looks fine. But I you know, didn't know it was this quality. So the guest puts it on a fire on a gas stove, and the house fills with fumes because the paint is
Yeah.
off. So
And a tip, go ahead.
I went to Costco, bought them a Henkel stainless steel set. It was like $209, super good price for 3-ply stainless steel and way better quality. And then
Yeah.
fun, I asked them to leave the pots out for me to take a look at them, and I was able to bend this with my fat arms.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Your
Don't buy
perfect
these
arms. That's what I
don't
think
buy
you
these
meant to say.
don't buy the garbage. Okay.
Yeah, and I think a tip there
Uh,
is use your resources. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. We buy um, cast iron on Amazon. We buy it used. When we see a good cast iron pot pan, we scoop it up and clean it up, and it goes right into storage or directly into a property because those last forever. They're good for you. We have grills in all of our properties, so guests can grill outside and use those. There's a reason why they're durable and why they're vintage and they've lasted so long. But we do want heavy cookware for ourselves. So we make sure we have that for our guests. So that's what I mean in terms of our kitchen. Like we always have a standing mixer from KitchenAid. We always have a Vitamix blender.
Wow.
And I mean, it's just what would you want if you had to stay someplace? And most of our guests are like really hardworking. They're nurses that are working crazy schedules, and probably they want to use the blender to make a smoothie.
Yeah.
They don't want to have something that's going to not work for them or break down. So I'm looking for quality pieces that allow me to set it and forget it in a way that I don't have to constantly be following up with, is that broken? Did it get replaced? Blah, blah, blah. I buy the things that work and will work continually. And those aren't the cheaper products that I'm constantly replacing. Like we have to replace consumables. I don't want to be replacing small appliances. And with things like for coffee, we only do pour over coffee and a grinder for coffee beans. So we have our little non-negotiables that are largely based on how we like to live.
Yeah.
But we're also trying to consider what is good for the environment as well. Like we don't really like pods. We don't like how it tastes for coffee. And yes, I'm a coffee snob, so
I
need
agree.
to have pour over
There's nothing good about running hot water through plastic and then drinking it.
or aluminum.
Yeah, I'm a I'm a bit of an espresso fan, but I do like
That's okay.
and I do like Nespresso
Yeah,
because they do have a cradle to grave supply chain, which
for
is
sure.
which I appreciate far more than the other brand in the plastic. So,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
yeah.
But again, we have our own ethos that are just like, this is what we like to do in our lives that are busy, that are robust, that are full. And it keeps us going without having to, pause and replace and, get frustrated that something isn't working. So our kitchens are really where we lean in. And if we're doing a full renovation, we will put in nicer appliances that are going to last also.
Yep, I completely agree. What's the saying? Don't do it right the first time, don't do it thrice. Something like that.
Sure. Something along those
Something
lines.
along those lines.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is when you're putting together an investment, everything is intentional with that investment.
Yeah.
So the partners you work with, the products you buy, and how you're putting your property together also will translate to who's going to be interested in your property. Like we only ever have guests that are of such high integrity. And we're getting a lot of people that are nurses, that are professionals, that are doctors, both in Baltimore and in our other properties and other markets, because that's what we're putting forth. Like we are putting forth something that is better than what was the property you mentioned, Springline Suites,
Spring
Spring
Hill.
Hill.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're putting together something that has more character, that has more homeability. And
Yes.
I don't think it's like what we've seen a lot on websites like Furnish Finder, where like it's grandma's, we'll take all the refuge furniture and put it here. No, this feels like a home that you want to be in, that has everything that you need, that all you need to do is show up with your bags.
Yep, I'm 100% on board. Those are such good tips. Thank you so much for dropping all the incredible gems today. We are out of time, but I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning on the Midterm Rental Movement Podcast.
Thank you so much. So
I want
fun.
to know, do you have any books that you love, anything about investing in real estate, or maybe even a culinary book that you love?
Oh, wow. Okay. Crave by my friend and chef Karen Akunowitz just comes to mind. Simple by Otto Lengi, and I really do like the Midterm Rental book by the two gals
Sarah
on Bigger
Weaver.
Pockets.
Sarah Weaver.
Thank you. Yes,
Yes.
that's a good one.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing everything with us today. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Okay, bye.
Welcome to the ARC Watchtower. Do you know what the major online travel platforms actually cover? Most hosts don't until it's too late. Payout delays, denied claims, and no protection for direct bookings, midterm stays, or reverse arbitrage setups. That's why there's ARC Watchtower, with up to $50,000 in damage protection and $1 million in liability coverage for every stay on every platform. It's automated, platform agnostic, and built for today's operators, From short-term hosts to midterm rental pros and reverse arbitrage managers placing insurance or corporate guests. Sign up today in 60 seconds. No forms, no gaps, just real protection.